Today we're going to be going over the top Anemo-based teams in Genshin Impact. It's taken the world by storm. It's a very windy place out there right now, guys. In 1.6, guys, is all sunny. Everyone's having fun out there. If you guys want more stuff, feed the algorithm gods. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you come back for more with that subscribe button. Tell me what your favorite Anemo team is that you're planning on using or are already using. Now, the first kind of teams we're going to be going over are the freeze teams. Oldies but goodies. There's new characters here. You can use Venti, Sucrose, Kazuha, maybe even the main character if you're falling in love with your he or your her, whatever your main character you is picking out there, you could do that as well. So let's talk about this one right here. First, just a couple different versions of this team. The main one that everyone really likes to use out there is you're using Ganyu, is this setup here. Ganyu, Mona, Venti, Diona. You could swap Venti out for Sucrose. You could swap Venti out for Kazuha out there as well. The two that would perform the best in this team is Venti and Kazuha. That's because their AoEs are relatively large, where they suck things in, and they will just keep that CC chain going in between the freeze and the different amounts of crowd control that they can provide there. They have some nice crowd control and some nice damage on top of that. If you want to use Sucrose in here as well, you can do that. This sort of team right here, if you're doing an EM build, the only damage you're getting is just raw swirl damage. You're not going to be doing double, triple overload, anything wacky like that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the other video we did the other day. Now, this isn't the only time you are using just this team, just Ganyu. You don't have to do that. There's a lot of other substitutions that you guys can use in a freeze team. So you can get Rosari in there, especially if she's Constellation 2. That'll help out your freeze. Using Chongyun as well. A lot of people like that guy. That'll help out your freeze. You can use Xingqiu for another Hydro source of freeze. If you don't have Mona, he's very fantastic, one of the best characters in the game. You could also use Kea as your main DPS or your support character as well, and you could also get a freeze team child in here on top of that, so he'd be your Hydro character. There's a lot of different stuff that you guys can do out there. It's not just locked to this contemporary Ganyu, Mona, an Anemo character, Diona sort of shtick here. You are wanting to run double cryo characters in this sort of setup though, so you get the shattering ice effect there. So things that are frozen or just affected by cryo are going to give you 15% free crit rate, which is very, very powerful there. Your Anemo character is here to swirl. Maybe you have them built for a DPS build. Very interchangeable in this sort of setup here. And they're also going to be lowering resistances to Hydro or Cryo, whatever your main setup there for damage is, by 40% with the 4-piece VV set. So very solid team setup here, but that's not the only thing that you can do with this team, especially in 1.6. Another super popular team here is the one that you see here, Venti, Fischl, Beidou, Xingqiu. So whatever your Anemo character is, this is the Electro Charge team. Now this is an Elemental Mastery Anemo character. So Sucrose, EM build, Venti EM build, Kazuha EM build, main character EM build, I guess if you want to throw that one out there as well. But the main character is a little, a lot weaker than the aforementioned other three characters. Now this team right here is all about throwing Electro Charged everywhere. It's very, 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 very powerful. You have two sources of electro damage, one source of hydro damage, and then you will swirl all of these different characters over and over and over. You'll get a bunch of swirl damage because you're swirling everywhere. Then you also are going to be applying electro charged to everything around you. So in AoE circumstances, this team is super successful and shines like crazy. It does so much damage. You wouldn't expect this team of just supports to be doing a whole bunch of damage, but no, it's going to do a ton of damage, like way too much damage in Genshin. And you can use Venti, Kazuha, Sucrose, fully built for EM. You're going to shine there. This even works in 2 target scenarios. It's a fantastic setup, but there is also a variation to this team. Maybe you don't have Xingqiu built up. Maybe you're a Tartaglia fan. You're a Tartaglia stan out there. I know there's a couple of you guys or gals, either way, but you can swap Xingqiu out for Tartaglia. It's going to add more damage to your team as well, and you're going to have Tartaglia in your Anemo character being able to swirl and electro charge everything around you. It's a very, very popular setup. This is one of Child's best teams, has been for a while, but it's even better now in 1.6. So you're swirling all this electro charge around. You're going to have a good time there. There's nothing really bad to talk about this. As you can see, the clips rolling in the background. Just do bajillion damage, even in Abyss. We won't expect it, but you just devour all souls with this electro charge team. One of the most underrated teams currently, I think, personally, in Genshin Impact. Now, it also goes without saying, guys, even though 1.6 is buffed up non-vaporized and melt squads, melt and vaporize are still incredibly strong. So obviously your Anemo character could go into a traditional melt or vaporized team. If you have Hu Tao, Klee as your main DPS, Xingling in a pyro build, Diluc, obviously still incredibly powerful characters to add to your roster and do a bunch of damage with your Anemo character, doing this traditional stuff, but even stronger than before. You can have them built for EM, you can have them built for damage. It's there. You're going to be doing the 4-piece Viridius and Venra set once again, building your characters for however you want to build them, and you're just going to be doing a bunch of damage with either melt or vaporize. Some very popular right now in Genshin sort of cryo setups for a melt team. Kea is very popular. C2 Rosaria is very popular. Chongyun is also extremely popular as well. And then last but not least, if you're doing vaporize, no one beats out the boy Xingqiu for the good old vaporize spam. Incredibly popular with the pyro characters, especially Xingqiu plus Hu Tao. You also can go ahead and use the boy Bennett as a DPS sort of monster. DPS Bennett is actually kind of a monster because he spams his E. Just tap it over and over and over inside his own elemental burst. Does a ton of damage. You can combo Bennett with good old Chongyun. Auto attack E, auto attack E, auto attack E. You can combo that with Xingqiu as well, and you're going to be doing either melt or vaporize with Bennett. So this is some very strong stuff. And your Anemo character is going to be in the background, swirling, dropping resistances, doing their own thing, doing their own damage, and it's still a very powerful team, even in 1.6. And people are using a vast swath of teams like this built around an Anemo character, and then either a Hydra or Cryo, and then a main DPS Pyro. Now I'm going to level with you. Personally, my favorite sort of Anemo based team to run right now is actually the Electro Charge team. I went through the new Abyss with this squad laid out right now, Venti, but like I said, you could swap that with Sucrose, you could swap that with Kazuha. Very easy to build actually, and I didn't know, but my official was naked and my Xingqiu was almost naked. Beidou was set up and ready to rock and roll, and Venti was in an EM build, and you guys can see just how much damage, and you just rip through everything with a team like this. And it's very popular and very powerful, starting to become even more so now in 1.6. It was okay before, but after 1.6 came out, the whole swirl electrocharge buffs, you're getting double buffs for this team, which is why it's so good right now. And even in the Abyss, you have the heralds and the lectors, and this still works very well. You can shred through there because of the power of swirl, right? You have electrocharge plus swirl. You can be dinging shields around over and over and over and over, and you can sort of take this team and maybe swap it around. Maybe you're having trouble with the electro abyss mage, right? So you can go in there and throw in maybe like a cryo character and start swirling cryo and just destroy their shields in the Abyss. But yes, very powerful team. Currently my favorite team to play in Genshin. If I'm not playing this team, I'm playing the good old Ganyu God Squad sort of setup here as well, with Ganyu, Mona, Venti, and Diona. But like I said, you could swap this for Kazuha. A lot of cool stuff out there to do with Swirl. Let me know what you are doing with Swirl and what you plan to do with Swirl, or Anemo, I guess, in general, down below, guys. If you want to see more stuff, make sure you hit us on back here at the channel. Make sure you go ahead and feed, like I said, those analytical gods at YouTube, Susan. And then I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.
Ring cutter, know my sword. Eyes on me. Time for takeoff. Yahoo! Ha. Yeah. Time for takeoff. Hear ye. Yeah. Ha.